A complete denial of reality. That's what we need from our manager. Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock podcast. My name's Adonis. You know me as at the Adelites on Twitter. It's a very good hello from me. We've got a big bumper show coming up for you. Brentford 0, Leeds 0, Brentford 0.
Snowfest.
The snooze fest. Jesse Marsh. Is he the right man? Is he annoying you? He's got some list of things for the players on the wall to remember. Bielsa's back in town. Marcelo Bielsa, are you happy about that? And the FA Cup dreams. So we'll talk about maybe some memories of FA Cups past and look forward to Accrington Stanley, which could be a challenge. Big Mac is joining us. The Prince of Darkness, Machiavelli, at Ewan Metcalf. Mac?
Evening, boys. You okay?
Very good, thank you, Mac. Sporting some Under Armour over...
Yeah, I've been training Under Armour over my fantastically chiselled body. Yeah, I've been training today. I trained and then I went swimming, so I've been super fit. So I've done very little work and now I'm having a beer, so undoing it all quickly. As is my want.
Other garments are available, and that man from Twitter now with 10,000 followers, 10,000 Barney people.
Must have cost a fortune, Barney.
Right? Yeah. There's Russian bots. At Barney LUFC 21 Barnes.
Oh yeah, you all right?
Very good, thank you, Barney, and congratulations to the Roaring Peacock podcast Twitter profile, which got over 2,000 followers, even though I don't do very much on it, to be fair. Not anymore.
Twitter's dying, mate. Don't matter.
Right. Well, thank you to all you lovely followers. Very good. Right. Brentford, Leeds 0, Brentford 0. First thoughts, Barnes?
Professional.
Too slow, Mac.
Professional, there you go.
Go on, Barney.
Good, Barney. Let have a second go.
I thought it was professional performance, really. One of the things, if you're going to take the way that the attacking threat from what we do, with far better defending, I thought Vober, or however you pronounce it, I thought it was a difference on Sunday.
It's like an
Yeah,
is it?
Verber.
Verber, right.
Yeah, there you go. Very good, wasn't he? Very good. I was on BBC Radio Leeds. Shout out to me on Monday night, and I was saying that he is the best defender I've seen in a white shirt since Ben White.
Oh, big call. Big call.
High praise indeed, wasn't it? Mac, Leeds 0, Brentford 0.
Yeah, just it's not much you can say other than what Barney said. So I thought we played okay. I thought the transition was decent at times. Again, too narrow. Defensively looked miles better. And I think that Frank said it, and he's very rarely complimentary about anybody other than himself, is he? But he kind of said that credit Leeds, that they played really well and limited us, and kind of we had to change the way we played a little bit, which, considering the form that they're in and how well they've been doing, is a compliment in it. So it's just frustrating at the moment that we can't do both together. We can't defend well and attack well. It seems to be one or the other. If we play like we did against Newcastle, we can keep a clean sheet, but we can't score, and it's similar with Brentford. But yeah, overall, you've got to be reasonably happy with the point, haven't you? But I think you mentioned it. I can't remember if it was on BBC Radio Leeds or the article. That, if you'd have picked up points where you should have done, 2-0 up against Southampton, Everton at home, the games that you kind of think we probably should have got something, possibly been disrespectful to Brentford a bit. Expecting to get something from Brentford these days isn't a given, is it? It's, and in a way for Leeds, it never has been. They're a bit of a bogey team. So, yeah, I think overall you've got to be pleased. I think we, definitely seem to be moving in the right direction with the players we're bringing in and the way that we're playing. Just got to get a few. If you got 2 or 3 wins on the bounce, you'd feel differently about everything, wouldn't you? And that's what we're all waiting for. But it's difficult to foresee.
Yeah, it was the kind of game that I remember from the Championship without us creating as good or as many chances as we ever did. Generally, when we had possession and were playing well under Bielsa, we had all of the ball. We had no way to break Brentford down, and we didn't maybe commit as many men to attacks as was necessary to try and force the issue. But that also meant that we were quite compact. Compact was the word, isn't it? In defence and in transitions.
Yeah, narrow stroke, compact. And I don't think that we didn't get the break of the ball quite a few times as well in the box. It didn't quite fall for us. The chance for Sinisterra that kind of got caught under his feet. And I think their keeper made... We created the better chances and their keeper made the better saves. So, I mean, you've got to be relatively happy, haven't you, I think? Just, yeah.
Player of the match was David Raya, according to SofaScore, 8.3 out of 10. Made quite a few important saves for them. We were the better team overall, and I thought we'd needed a performance like that for a long time.
I think also as well is that you don't need to win a lot of games in this league. It's all about getting the draws as well, more than anything, to stay up. And if you just carry on just getting those draws and getting the odd win now and again, we're going to be okay. And I think I might be wrong, probably am wrong. I think we got one of the better goal differences compared to the other teams around us, because we do score as well, which is good to see. I mean, to be honest,
7 and 5 and 4 at every game's helping with that as well.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think that we've got to give credit to the team as well, because I think when I was going into the ground, you could feel a little bit that if we lose this, that again we're going to be in the bottom 3. It was very stressful. The crowd just can't get going though. I don't know if it's, again, I think we've spoken about this before on the pod. It's just on a Sunday afternoon. It just cannot get going whatsoever.
It's the worst time for a football match in my history of watching 3 o'clocks all the time. Saturday 3 o'clocks, Tuesday nights, Friday nights. It's the one that's the least easy to get going, especially when the team are creating a lot. You know, chicken and egg question. Do the team create something that gets the fans behind them, or the fans get the team going? Sometimes it's a bit of both. But I think on a Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
I think it was one of those performances and one of those games that didn't inspire a lot of reaction. We played quite well, but we didn't play well enough to break them down or score. If we'd have put in a performance like some of those earlier in the season where it's just been terrible, it would have got toxic very quickly. And I don't think, I think because, the board, they've broken the transfer record again. They've bought Verba, who looks fantastic. So you can't say that they haven't invested anymore. And you also can't say that they haven't given Marsh a chance. He's had more of a chance, maybe, than Bielsa got. Maybe more backing as well. So I think, if you buy Rutter, if you buy Verba, we look like we might be getting Weston McKennie as well. I don't think you're going to hear sack the board anymore. I think it's going to be sack the manager if the results don't start coming.
It feels like there's been a sea change in the backing of the manager, whoever it might have to be, and especially around January, because it's always been a policy of Leeds not to kind of get involved. And considering Marsh had, the summer and brought in quite a lot of players, you'd think it was even less of a reason to dip in January. But he's certainly been backed, and that's again reinforced by the new assistant. One of his most close footballing sort of friends and allies and comrades, being brought in. So it's clear that certainly for now, we're stuck with him, whatever people think. And whether it's the 49ers that seem to be resisting that kind of temptation to not buy anybody in January, it seems that there's been a change in mentality. And I suggest that must be something to do with the 49ers saying, "No, sod that, let's dip in now and not regret not doing it in May."
We had quite a famous manager after Don Revie, and we hired him without his assistant manager, his preferred assistant manager. So we've seen what it can be like, or what a manager without his chosen assistant can do. So He's got all his men now, right? They've
No
broken the
excuses.
bank a few times. He's got his preferred assistant, so there are exactly no excuses. You mentioned before about goal difference. Yeah, ours is very good. The worst teams with the worst goal difference in the Premier League are Everton, -13, Wolves, -18, Southampton, -18, Forest, who we play next, right, in the league, away, -19, and Bournemouth on -23. So goal difference is the one where you'd think that, well, that's going to really make a difference. We're on -7, so I think we're doing fairly well, even though the defense hasn't been as good as we would have liked it. But is it starting to come together under Marsh? Is my question. Barnes?
Yeah, I can see more. I'm going to say his buzzword. I can see more clarity with how we're trying to play.
Bravery in the moment. You can see more bravery in the moment.
Bravery on the podcast.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see what we're trying to do. It still looks a little bit messy in places, but you can also see he's actually tried to change his tactics a little bit just to suit the league a little bit more. We're not as narrow. We've got the players in that fits his model as well. And if you look at that, the front players we've got, that is a pretty scary, pacey attack that we've got. It just needs to build from the midfield and from the defence, and we've not seen that camaraderie between the positions. I think it's working, but how long is it going to be before we lose another game? Before fans say no, he needs to go now, because it's already on it's either in or out, isn't it, at the moment with Marsh? And I think the majority of people are more saying Marsh out than in. For me personally, I'm still on the fence with it all because I can see what we're trying to do. I can see the argument that he's been there for 11 months now, but he came in at the end of towards the end of last season, February time, where it was a whole shitstorm, the whole thing. We're going through a transition period because there's hell of a lot of new players if you look at it, and a hell of a lot of the old guard that are not featuring as often as they used to as well. So I think there's a lot to it to say, is it working? It's a tough one because I think it could be a good team. We have got a really good team, and we should be within the top 10 anyway. Is it the odd mistake from players? Or is it the tactics? I don't know. It's a tough one because I really want it to work for him. I'm getting to a stage where I'm feeling a little bit sorry for him because he can't win with some of the stuff he does and what he says as well.
A lot of fans have made their mind up, haven't they? If you listen to the radio call-in after the Brentford game, sounded absolutely disastrous. They've made their minds up. It's like in the neurons in your brain, you've got you've got a neural network. It's like a map. So you've got concepts, neurons that are connected to other neurons, to other concepts. So when first impression, for example, that's why friend or foe is probably the best example that I can think of, because you immediately have to connect this neuron, this new person, this new concept to either friend or foe. And I think the same thing with Marsh. It's like good or bad. And most people, you can see now the little Marsh neuron is connected to the bad, and it doesn't matter what they do. I thought after Villa, there's no way you can sack him after that performance because we played so well. It's the same thing against Brentford as well. We haven't got any wins, but he's turned a corner. He has. Yeah. Can I just read some comments, because we haven't done that in a while. We haven't been live. Of course, we've pre-recorded the last podcast. The boys are back, says no. Barney can't stand the fame. That's why he's hiding in the darkness. And if you're listening on the pod, Barney's backlit as ever. That doesn't help.
That's worse.
Your silhouette.
Just that collie.
That's not bad.
That's great.
All right. Says Bandy. Good evening, Bandy. We haven't seen you in a while. Gail Dale, Bielsa talking to Everton. He's flown over from Brazil, allegedly on Sky Sports. He has had that confirmed. We can get onto that in a second. Thought Koch and Verber were great, says Gail. Dylan says Verber is better than Raya. I was thinking, how does Liam Cooper get back into that team now? I'm guessing the answer is he doesn't.
Well, the problem you've got now is Cock got suspended the other night, so you've got to then look at another partnership, and that's the problem. And we talk all the time about midfield part. I played at a decent level, and it wasn't just about football's not an individual sport; it's a team sport. But it's all about partnerships all over the pitch: left wing, left back, right back, right wing, two centre midfielders, two centre halves, striker in your 10. There's little partnerships all over, and I think that Koch looked better because he had Werber next to him. Simple as that. I thought Werber was outstanding. Yeah. I mean, Strauch, for me, the weakest link, and I'm not digging him out because Strauch's playing out of position, but I think it's him because he just doesn't look like a natural left back, which is not a criticism, it's just fact. And Aronson, who I thought actually had his best game for us for quite some time, but still looks weak and makes poor decisions and holds onto the ball too long and seems to be trying a bit too hard to try and make a difference and play a killer pass or play that pass that sometimes you've just got to keep moving the ball and keep, pass and move and not admire your pass and just, keep ticking over. But I thought everybody else was pretty great on the other night. Obviously Nonto was limited.
Lowest rated player for Leeds was Jack Harrison.
Yeah, I don't think he had his best game, but again, he's better when there's a bit more room to sort of attack into. And he did make some poor decisions again. But, again, he's not playing in his natural position. We've been here before, haven't we, with Bielsa playing people out of position. And to touch on the Jesse Marsh thing, I think that, you talked about neurons and brain function. I mean, some of Leeds fans have literally got that Homer Simpson meme, with a monkey eating peanuts, scratching its ass in up there. So it's staggering that people go watch football for so long and claim to be passionate about it and literally have no clue. It's clear that things are going in the right direction, but how quickly? And I can't get my head around the width thing. Any great. You talked about the threat, the attacking threat, Barney, and you look at any great three up front. There's been many. There's width there. So if you look at Arsenal at the minute, who are doing really, got Martinelli hugging the left touchline, Saka hugging the right, and whoever it happens to be, Jesus or our friend Eddie, running the line. I've watched Napoli for years, and Cavani and Calderon and Lavezzi, and there's been these sort of three. The triumvirate always has an element of width, and I think that if you looked, there's a couple of still shots of the positioning as we had the ball in the final third, and it's so narrow. And there's just, people criticise Rocker, who stats-wise, progressive passing is one of the best in the league, but he's got nothing to hit. I mean, to have those stats with what we've got in front of him is staggering. It's showing what a good footballer he is. Now he's adapting, but that's still my massive issue with it. Is I do think we're moving in the right direction. I do think we've turned a corner, but I cannot abide, width. Players who can beat people out wide and get a good crossing, people who can come into the box from the outside, the wide areas. It's so exciting to watch, and there's so much jeopardy there for the other team caused by that. And I think a team like Brentford, knowing that we were going to play narrow, it was easy for them, wasn't it? Even Nonto didn't really get into the game and wasn't quite himself. But I think we have turned a corner. But I just can't abide looking at a team that looks so compact. As for the positive amongst us, we'll call it compact. I'd say it's extremely narrow and a little bit one-dimensional. Yeah, we all want it to work, don't we? Yeah.
I've just been having this discussion on Twitter. It's quite an adult conversation as well, actually, for a change on Twitter.
On Twitter?
I know, scary. Basically, Marsh was asked about the narrow system and how it's meant to work and what's the reason behind it, and the ex tried to explain that. And I sort of understood it a little bit more. So basically, if you were wider, it's harder to make quick balls on the transition, because it's all about for Marsh. It seems like it's all not just based on position play; it's also based on the transition. So if you're wider, it's harder to make that quick pass from defence to midfield to attack. Also, if other teams are attacking and we're wide open, it's easier to pick us off rather than being more, like the buzzword is compact. So I couldn't understand it a little bit. And the players that we've got in, a lot of people are saying that we've got wingers in. But me personally, a modern day winger is not just about a winger on the touchline. It's about a winger that cuts inside, and it's about the pace as well. So if you look at Salah, is he a striker or is he a winger? But he still cuts. One of his specialist goals is to cut inside and shoot on his left. So I still conflicted about the narrow system, but someone had a really good point. The narrow system would work if you had world-class players, like from a Man City, and you said to them, play the narrow system, it would look really, really good football. But the way we are at the moment, the players can't quite execute. I can't say the word. Execute the system that well. So when it doesn't work, it looks messy. But it is very much like what Marsh was saying in his press conference. It's very much of a German model. So it's all about efficiency and not just keeping the ball for the sake of keeping the ball. It's about what did he first say? It was about within the first 30 seconds or something, you have to score a goal. If you don't, you don't, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what he's saying, and basically every team that we played under Bielsa in the end was walking through our midfield. I mean, there were gaps. There were so many gaps in our midfield. It was unbelievable. I'd never seen anything like it. In the end, with Bielsa, because of the missing players like Phillips, who did so much work, every single transition, every single counter-attack against us was man against man. It was like 3-on-3. When you used to see that, I remember in the 90s, late 90s, when you used to see a team going 3-on-3, you thought your heart sank. You thought, oh, we're wide open here. We're going to concede. And it was getting like that every single. So I can understand the need, especially for when he came in, to shore up defensively on those transitions, specifically the middle of the park. But I think you need to be adaptable. So when you play a team like Brentford, who are sitting deep, you need to, and you've got all the possession, you need to spread out. You need to use the width of the pitch, and you need to move them around, move the opposition around, switch balls over to the other side, get them all. Anyway, let's talk about this poster. So this was confirmed as well. So there's a post. Marsh has put posters on, keys to the game, posters on the changing room walls. 8 points. The first point is fast starts, ! Always online, ! Throw-ins in brackets. Stay aggressive is point 2. Sprinting, going in. Minimal width, vertical counter press is point 3. Go in, join in, and swarm, prevent switches is point 4. Shifting, pumping, and defending forward is point 5. I know what you're thinking, Barney. Get your mind out the gutter. Point 6 is play forward. Point 7 is clean sheet mentality. And point 8 is celebrate moments with 4 exclamation marks. What do we think about Jesse Marsh's keys to the game?
Fuck me. Sorry, but what? Fucking pumping, celebrate moments. I mean, naturally as a footballer, you make it like Janssen used to do it. You know, you've seen people do it. You know, you make a great tackle, you celebrate that, don't you? You do the little fist bump, you get excited about it. You know, but come on, that's just bullshit. That I can't abide it. I mean, having sort of motivational quotes around the changing room's one thing, but like just this. I mean, you can tell they've not got to number 4 yet. What was number? Just remind me what number 4 was, because that stood out. Go in, join in, and swarm. So in brackets. Sort of orgy. It sounds like some sort of orgy. Go in, fucking, join in, swarm.
Don't avoid eye contact.
Do the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, there was a 5 one in there, wasn't there? Was it 5? There's one of them where it's like they obviously haven't got to that bit yet. Clean sheet mentality being one, which they have done a couple of times recently. Newcastle, Brentford being notable. fast starts. I'm not convinced. Fast starts number one, and I don't think we've done that sometimes this season. So
throw-ins in brackets, always online throw-ins. That's the first point. Loves his throw-in Sunday.
Well, we just said about we were talking before. I mean, that Barney's right in a way. Guardiola preaches it, Arteta preaches it about being able to attack through the middle of the park, but they're adaptable and you can flex and bend that. You don't have to stay rigid within it, and that seems to be the problem at the minute. Is we're just too one-dimensional, and we start like that, and we don't change it. We can't adapt to play, and I think some of that stuff that's been quoted from those 8 points is probably why. Because I'd be confused. I'd be like, well, what am I doing? Am I swarming? Am I fucking what am I this week? Am I pumping? Am I swarming? Am I joining in? What the fuck am I doing here? But it feels a bit. I mean, Wiggy is our favourite for describing him as a used car salesman, and it just feels like buzzwords and words that have been extracted from some sporting, dictionary or whatever, or like bullshit bingo. And I don't agree with it. I think you've got to have clarity of instruction and clarity of thought, clarity of. Get the players.
Simple.
They're all good footballers. Yeah, Barney said we've got good footballers. Let them go and play football. Give them a clear instructions how to win that game. Bielsa was a master at studying the other team. An element of that. But ultimately, if we go out and play 8 or 9 of these teams and play our best with the players we've got, we should win. So, yeah, probably not the right person to ask. Me and my old school view on so much doubt.
Barney, Marsh's diatribe.
Guess what I'm going to say?
He loves it.
I don't know anymore with you.
It really doesn't bother me.
Killer Sally has thrown me off.
We've all had those managers, and we've worked in those sort of workplaces that will have those sort of buzzwords and things. I don't see the issue with it. The issue is because it's in the public domain now. It shouldn't have been leaked in the public domain, but
it was left on a wall, and somebody was on a tour of Ellen Road.
Yeah,
took a photo of it.
Because Marsh mentioned it in his presser today, saying that James has told him. So obviously Mooney's told him about it. So what? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't. Literally, you're right, Barney. You couldn't have described it better.
There's literally some buzzwords. For me, I'm not looking at that thinking, fucking hell, is that our tactics for the game? For each game? I don't think it is. I don't think it's some Sunday league manager that's given some tactics. It's just some buzzwords that everyone has some sort of, I don't know, some sort of saying at work that you do, and partnership and working together and stuff like that. And you just do it, don't you? But there's got to be certain levels to what those mean, and I'm sure that there is. It really doesn't. I think it's been blown out of proportion.
But it's a corporate. You've just described it perfectly. You have it at work. Exactly. It's a corporate fucking mentality to have these words that sort of are supposed to inspire people. They don't. What you want is a manager to go. You might as well have up there 1, win. 2, don't lose. 3, score more goals than them. It'd be more appropriate because that's how you're going to win. I don't get it. I mean, if you can't do that as a human being, go out and do a talk to your team and get them inspired and motivated. However you choose to do that, then that's my biggest challenge with him. But listen, I'm not going to dig him out because, like I say, I think he has turned a corner. I think he's got an almost impossible job. It's a bit like, not on the same context, don't get me wrong. It's a bit like Moyes taking over at Man United. He was on to a loser, wasn't he? He was never going to. It was just such a taking over from Bielsa, who was lauded and still regaled by Leeds fans. It's never going to be easy. And he did pretty well to keep us up. But I just think that side of it doesn't interest me. And that I'll quantify that. I'll caveat that by saying I hate all that American bullshit. American sports, all that stuff. The way they talk, all the whooping. Funny because I sat down because I watched the Traitor, and obviously we spoke about this, and I watched the American one last night and got about 30 minutes in and switched it off because too much whooping, too much backslapping, high-fiving bullshit, and that's where we're at in it.
So for me, it's... Oh, sorry. So I just want to say, for me, it's far too complicated, and the word pairings I don't understand them, and if I don't understand them, you know, no offense to a lot of footballers, like
Troy's got no chance.
You know what I mean? Tyler Roberts would be.
Tyler Roberts would be like that.
I like this stay aggressive one, for example. I like, you know, fast start, okay, you know, but then it goes always online. Like, what does that mean? And then throw-ins in brackets. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? So by the time you get to the third word pairing, it's like, what does that even mean? So I think if it was very simple reminders like go, 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 or stay aggressive, or just things like that, that you could really trigger you, have a psychological trigger to elicit an action, then I can understand that. I can understand the sports psychology of that, because I've seen sports psychologists talk about that kind of thing, but it's too complicated. He's trying to put all these different little buzzwords. You said it best, Barney. Corporate kind of buzzwords all into all these different points, and he's put 8 points, but really it's not really 8 points, is it? It's like 25, and it's so confusing, it doesn't make sense. So keep it simple and get these players focused on what they're doing, not confused. Sorry, Barnes.
Just talking about buzzwords and words that people have said, I mean, people probably call me out, but Bremner always said side before self. So what does that mean? What does that actually mean if a footballer came in? Or keep fighting? Keep fighting is exactly like keep battling, like what Marsh has said in what was his word?
No, but what Marsh should be saying is Marsh should be saying keep fighting, stay narrow, corners, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think I'm defending him. I'm not, because I think some of the tactics are shit. They're not working. It's quite obvious. But I think some of the stuff that's come out in the last few days, like today, someone's done a 16-second video of how to score a goal.
Yeah.
But if you actually watch the full video, there's some context to it. But it seems like people have just got these silly little agendas, and what's it trying to? If you don't like him, fair enough. If you don't like his tactics, fair enough. But let's have some sort of context to what your argument is, rather than doing a shitty little 16-second video that doesn't mean anything. And also, people just jump on it straight away without actually thinking about it.
I was surprised about that, because I was watching the press conference, and he was asked about the FA Cup, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember watching the FA Cup when I was a kid, when I was 7 years old. That we'd be in the park and we'd be saying, 'Oh, the FA Cup's on tonight,' blah blah blah." And then the follow-up question was, "Can you remember any specific memories from the FA Cup?" And if you go back and listen to that answer, it's unbelievable. It's like some drowning man trying to find a lifeboat, and in the end, he just, like Jack in Titanic, just gave up and said farewell. And then they ended the press conference, so it was weird. So if anything, I thought somebody was going to clip that, but I was kind of interested to see that it was, no, you score goals in the middle of the park. So
I think Bielsa didn't get a translator. And then he can't be found out. If he gets an intelligent translator, they can protect him from all that bullshit.
Like proper thick Yorkshire accent as well.
Yeah. No, just I don't understand the question. Do what Bielsa did, evade it. Get a really intelligent translator in, because, like I say, I think the problem is with people like me and probably lots of others, he's not helping himself with the chat. If he was somewhere else, maybe, but you're in Yorkshire, and we don't stand for that. You've got to talk straight.
We didn't even talk about birth order.
I know, but you've got to talk straight. You've got to be real. You've got to be straight up and down. It's got to be. So it's more difficult for him than. It's more difficult for him here than lots of other places, I would imagine. But listen, I ain't digging him out. I think he's done it. He's got a thankless job. I think he's done pretty well. Again, there's no excuses now. He's been back to the hilt financially, and with the people behind him that have been brought in. I mean, ask yourself the question: what's the lad that's just gone to MK Dons leave?
Matt Jackson.
Yeah, why has he left? So you've got a team of he's bringing
because he
through.
got to step up and be a manager.
Yeah, maybe so, but at that point, really, he's going to get He's going to get other offers. He's got some of the young players that he's worked with in the under-23s coming through. He's at Leeds United. I don't think he's particularly happy with it. You look at the way the under-23s played under Bielsa, and even this year, the younger team, the sort of reserves, if you want, they're not playing like that. They're not modelling like Bielsa did. All the teams playing in a similar system. So I just think there's a lot of things behind the scenes that suggest that everybody's not happy with it. But I think it's pretty much a revolution, isn't it? It was a revolution in a good way when Bielsa came, and I feel like it's a little bit of a revolution where everybody would have bought into what Bielsa was doing, wouldn't they? That forensic study of the training ground and the players and which players we need and which players we don't. I don't think everybody's buying into this, and that is, again, it's not a criticism; it's just an observation.
Because they're trying to compare what Bielsa did? I mean,
I don't think we are, because you can't. I'm certainly not.
I wasn't that. I was only. I can't remember how old I was, but when Wilco was sacked, and then when George Graham took over, was everyone saying, "Oh well, Wilco used to do this, and this is how George Graham is"? I think, is it just because you've had a successful manager, everyone tries to compare about what the success was then and how it should be now?
Oh, do you know what? You've hit on a brilliant point. The football under Wilkinson, it's exactly the same discussion, but slightly different time, different era. But the football that Wilkinson looked to play, the kind of how he set his teams up compared to Graham, which was pretty much the Arsenal way of let's score one and shut up shop. It was similar, Barney, in that respect. I was there week in, week out at that point, watching Leeds, and it was absolutely that discussion. And the problem is you don't have the platforms you have now to hear all the grumbles and moans and observations, and everybody's an expert. The lad spoke about it in the stadium, he talked about it in the pub, and that was it. But I think people went to watch football for a different reason then. You went to, you do it, and there's others that do it, but, you go to eat, spend time with your mates and support your team and have a day out and all that. And whether you won, lost or draw in some ways was a little bit, not irrelevant, but it was secondary to the camaraderie and all that kind of stuff and the experience. But now it's become winning and losing, and it's become everything, because not only do you then you'd get, if you get beat at home by somebody, their away fans would give you it in the stadium, you'd leave and go to a pub, and that was it. Whereas now, people are scrolling through Twitter, Brentford fans giving you it, somebody else joining, a Man United fan saying you shit, you're going down. You can never get away from it. It's and that's why winning and losing has become almost too important. And that's where I do agree with Marsh, and in a way agree with Bielsa, that it's about having a philosophy and sticking to that. It's not about whether you lose a game here and there. It's about identity and stuff. So I think there's a lot to be said for them sticking to their beliefs and about the long term. And as we all know, time in this division, you don't get anywhere. And if you keep swapping managers every fact, you don't get anywhere, because you're just changing the philosophy and the mentality all the time and bringing in their players and getting rid of the ones that don't fit. And it just perpetuates. I mean, Everton are probably the best example of that at the moment.
Yep. 5 or 6 different managers have signed most of the players who are playing week in, week out for Everton. So you talk about maintaining one kind of philosophy and a way of going about things, and you've got the history of 5 or 6 different managers. Interestingly enough, against Brentford, that was the first time that we had more new signings on the pitch than any other time before Marsh. So maybe that says something as well. Maybe he's starting to get his squad together. I don't know. So we've got a few comments here. We've been visited by a Spurs channel.
Oh, fuck off.
How do you all feel about maybe signing McKennie, United Spurs of America? Why are you thinking of changing your name to United Leeds of America? But he said later on, I assume this is him, sorry, assuming your gender shouldn't do that. That's welcoming to hear. Glad we're not welcome here. And then he says, or they say, glad I didn't sub, lol. So there you go. That's that. What a shame. I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight.
No,
Spurs
yes. Welcome back anytime, mate. Don't you worry about it. It's all about opinions. You get yourself on Spurs and American.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Nothing against
We don't
Americans, by the way. One thing,
No,
sticking
no.
to a philosophy, but sticking to one that isn't working will get you relegated, says Dylan. That's kind of what I was going to say. Is like, you remember that game against Fulham away, and we took our socks off after winning, first season back in the Premier League.
Forget it.
And then
Never
after
got
that, it was cruising. We were cruising to the end of the season because we knew we weren't getting relegated, and that's kind of what didn't really matter if we won or drew or lost. That there was no peril on each game, and I think if we were just comfortably mid-table, we'd go back to the kind of seasons that you get where your Boa scored those spectacular goals. We kind of finished, relatively comfortably, had a bit of a cup run, and that was it. And you just, you're not like, I don't know, having nervous breakdown every time Leeds play or having a meltdown every time we lose. But you remember those great goals, and I feel like it's a bit of a shame we'd probably still be talking about that Nonto goal if we were just comfortably mid-table. But we spoke about Everton, so let's speak about Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa, he's been spotted at Heathrow. It's definitely the arrivals terminal.
It's not at Heathrow though. That picture's not today. He looks about 10 years younger.
Possible. There it is. That's where the picture is.
That's not Heathrow.
Yeah, that's Heathrow. Yeah. So arrival from Argentina apparently. So he is coming to talk about the Everton job. Are we happy or sad or a bit of both? Barnes?
I honestly can't see him going there. I can't. He likes. I mean, if he did start there, it could end up being like a job when he was at Lazio. Within a day, he's gone. I just can't. I just can't.
That would be so funny. I feel sorry for Popey, but that would be absolutely hilarious.
I can't see him going to a club that's off the field is absolutely batshit crazy. There's a lot of issues that the owner has been interfering with transfers, interfering with the team, not in that way. I put it on record. You've got a toxic fan base that's against the board. You've got players that some of them just aren't good enough. You've got players that for the third day aren't even turning up for training. Anthony Gordon. I just can't see him going there, especially when we're nearing to end of a transfer window, which he's not really. He's not one of those managers that fusses about transfer window. But he likes to come to a team. He likes to come before the summer, during the summer, so he's got some time. I just can't see him coming. I just can't see it. I can't see it. But there's the big thing though for me, which is quite funny, is the Lampard getting sacked. Bielsa comes in. I'll show how it's done, kind of thing as well.
Right,
there's that side to it, but I don't know. It probably will join, but I just can't see him doing it. Can't see it.
So Badger has chimed in here. Good to see you, Badger, by the way. He joined us, Barney. We were an absolute basket case. He loves a project with a historic club. And I remember an interview with his brother who said, he needs to be a hero. And he'd be absolutely worshipped by that Everton fan base.
Yeah.
We were in a decent place, though, to be fair, off the field. Yeah, it was a little bit iffy with Christensen and then Heckingbottom, but you could see some sort of foundations that were happening there and things. But at Everton, it just looks a broken club at the moment.
Mac,
I'm just basically trying to tell myself this isn't
right.
going to happen.
You can't convince yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, I think that the only reason I think he might not go there is because he's never done that. He's never took a job at this point. I think all his jobs he started in the summer where he's had a chance to, do all the things he does, change the set of training facilities and, work on the team over the summer. But listen, if it's true that he's gone to speak to them, then he must be considering it, because I don't think he'd waste anybody's time either. So I'm quite worried that he will go. But, you can't suggest that a manager is going to get you taken down and is lost his luster and, he's going to were conceding goals for fun, and he's lost the dressing room, and then moan about it when he joins another club and say, "Oh, he's going to save Everton," because you can't have it both ways. I'd be disappointed because it's like anything, isn't it? It's like a great player, like people you've really loved throughout life, particularly Leeds lads. Alan Smith, Phillips. You'd love them just to go play abroad for the rest of their career. You're not bothered about, if they score or win because it's not against your team. It doesn't impact on your team. For Bielsa to come back to a league with a team that's, probably going to challenge or be a competitor to be relegated alongside us and potentially save them would be, that'd be just Leeds all over, wouldn't it? But like you said, I think it's exactly the kind of club he'd go to. On its haunches, needs a hero, massive socialist kind of working class mentality. Bloody love it. It's like people are about Bournemouth. I mean, I don't think they're a completely different club, but he'd love the walks along the beach. He's one of them people I could see. He'd find a way, or he'd find solace and kind of enjoyment in just about any job that he does. I mean, let's be honest, walking along the A61 or whatever it is, the Weatherby Road, over the roundabouts amongst the traffic is not exactly the most romantic walk in life, but he sort of found a way to make it enjoyable, and he loved his life here. And I think it's exactly the kind of job he might take, and probably knowing that even if they went down, I mean, what a job he would do with them in the Championship. So. Very concerned that one sort of Leeds hero may well end up at another club managing and weaving his and working his magic. But
I must say, for me, I've missed him. I've missed the football. I haven't seen anything like it since then. So I do want him to come back somewhere, and because I'd like to watch it. And I don't mind Everton. I could think of worse places, much worse places to be. A few people talking in the comments. Bielsa is more likely to talk to West Ham, says Bandy. There are a couple of people, Dylan and Badger, still talking about the state that Leeds were in before Bielsa came. We'd signed Sibicki, and the previous season we were not in a good state, and Badger mentioning Myanmar and sports washing. But we're running out of time, so let's just talk about the FA Cup, and then let's have some final thoughts. So, FA Cup, Accrington Stanley.
Who are they?
Who are they?
Are we going to win it this season then?
Are
we going to win it?
We're getting knocked out by Accrington Stanley. You all know it. The Wham Stadium, it's perfect. It's the perfect name, and everything just goes alongside us getting knocked out at the Wham Stadium by Accrington Stanley. More famous for a milk advert than football, so that's us all over, isn't it?
Man City or Arsenal, of course, getting knocked out tomorrow night. You know what? We've got a chance.
We should win, shouldn't we?
Brighton and Liverpool playing against each other.
Yeah.
I'd love Reading to beat Man United. God, that'd be great. I'm going to dream of that tonight. So there's a chance, is what you're saying. 51 years after we won it.
I don't know where
we're going to come 14th and win the league. We're going to win the FA Cup, and if we win the FA Cup, I'll get a tattoo of Jesse Marsh.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So you, and who else is there? Bigwig, so Ryan Wignall, and Rob. Juicy Rob. So you're all going to get Marsh tattoos. Oh, they were going to do it if we got to the final. But you're saying if he wins it.
Yeah.
So what's it going to be? Marsh in? Or hashtag Marsh in?
I'll probably go like...
big arrow pointed. Big arrow pointing to your arsehole saying Marsh in.
Or something like MOT, clarity.
That's what you should do.
Oh, you could get the 8 points.
Yeah.
You
on my back.
Yeah, get the 8 points. Oh, that's what you should get. Get the 8 points right down your back, Barney, full length.
Because you don't mind them. Right, final thoughts then.
With to your arsehole.
Oh, God. And what's your thing, if you please?
Well, I was going to just on the cup. I think we should beat Accrington Stanley. I don't know where Accrington Stanley are in the league. I barely know where they are in the world geographically. Apparently famous for, Bumble was saying that they're famous for the pies and ales, so we'll have a good time there, won't we? And should win and to get into the 5th round of an FA Cup, considering how long it's been, it would be a marvellous thing. I didn't know there was a 5th round of the FA Cup.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. The fish-eyed fool better field a strong team. We are talking about Europe, says Bandy. Hey? Get your bags packed, lads. So, what's your thing, Barnes, this week? You got a thing?
I asked my lad about this. I said, "I'm doing the pod tonight," and Donny always asks us, "What's your thing? What shall I say?" He says, "Well, what have you done this way?" I said, "Well, not a lot, really. I've been to work and come home. That's about it." So my thing is, I need to get a hobby outside of football, possibly.
Okay. Suggestions for a hobby for Barney in the comments,
put it out
please.
to the group.
Well,
definitely.
Cooking's my hobby as well, but you can't really. What's my thing about cooking?
You need to get out and do something though, Barney. That's what I find. I like cooking, and I've got a lot of training and all that. But it's kind of, you need to do something where you go somewhere and do something. I think that's what it's all about. Not golf. After that meme, that thing we sent out this week,
yeah,
which is hilarious. But yeah. It's weird because I was actually thinking about taking up golf because one of my business partners keeps telling me I should play, and I'm like, I played as a kid and I was quite good. I've probably still got the swing, but can I be arsed with 4 hours wearing shit clothes, walking around some god awful fucking field in Leeds, freezing my bollocks off because it's never nice weather, hitting a golf ball around? Probably not. And it's really frustrating sport as well.
So Dylan has suggested to take up the drums, play as a tune on the drum kit. Yeah.
Oh, that's Louis. It's a pretty decent one, actually.
You should get on that. If I had that there, I'd be on it all the time. Just
I've got no musical rhythm whatsoever.
And Nora asks you about some new recipe. You got a new recipe that you tried this week, or did he cook something especially good this week?
Well, me and my wife always have a jerk. We always have spag bol on a Monday. No, without a doubt, spag bol.
Okay.
But if you're going to do a roast chicken, the leftover roast chicken, don't make a chicken pie. Do a pulled chicken, like a pulled chicken taco or something like that. Really nice.
Pulled chicken sounds fantastic, Matt.
Pulled a few chickens in my time.
Hey,
what's I guess my thing this week.
They've got some funny spit, don't they? Those chickens, I tell you.
They do, yeah.
Strange.
I bought a new car, so I bought a car. That's my thing.
Okay.
Nice as well.
It's not even exciting. I know it's like the most middle class fucking boring fucking thing ever. But yeah, I bought a new car, so that's my thing. I'm enjoying that. What's quite funny is, as you get older, that natural ability to sit in a car front seat and work out all the functions of your car, it's fucking left me. So one of my neighbours was laughing because I was sat in the car. I was there about an hour and he kept coming past and like waving at me. I was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "What are you doing?" Eventually I said, "Oh mate, I'm just trying to work out how the fuck you get keyless entry on this car and the heated steering, get my media display up on the panels and stuff." But yeah, I bought a new car and it's fucking lovely. It's sexy as fuck. Just like its owner. So there you go. That's what I did this week.
Big enough boot to fit a bag of golf clubs?
Couple of bodies in. Oh, golf clubs, yeah, sorry, yeah. I thought you was, yeah.
It is a very much for golfer's car as well. Definitely.
Is it fuck? It's too sexy for golfers. It's a proper pimp's car. It's like a pimpmobile. I'm going to get them wheels on it where it bounces up and down as I go up the street. That's what I want. That's what I really want. Like they have in like Los Angeles and stuff. But it was, it's like anything in it. Either I was really excited about going to buy a new car because I've got to that age now where that's about as exciting as it gets, right? And if anything could have got, everything went wrong. Insurance company didn't send me the right registration because I've got a private number plate, and they sent the private number plate insurance doc, which I can't put on it yet because I got to the garage, and bear in mind they try to do the hard sell on you when you're buying a reasonably expensive motor vehicle and how great they are, and got to the final knockings of this purchase, and the lad said to me, "Oh, do you want to come in and we'll just tax it?" I said, "Oh yeah, great, and I can drive it, can't I?" He went, "Yeah." So I went in and he puts the registration in, hits the OK button, and it says this vehicle is not taxed, not MOT'd. It's like, what? He fucking presses it again. He said, I must have got the reg wrong. Yeah, no MOT. So for a Leeds fan, that's particularly, upsetting. So
how many MOTs can I get from my new car, lads?
He'll give you an MOT. No problem. Here we go. So and then goes and presses it on, does it again, and the guy had only you have to have a MOT in the first 4 years, but it was registered in 2020, but it's actually a 69 plate vehicle, so it needed an MOT. So I had to sit there while they MOT'd the car in the fucking garage with them going, have another coffee. I was like, I've had 5. I've been here fucking 3 hours. I'm fine. I'll just have a walk. Yeah, it was just one of them days that everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. So it took me fucking ages, which made the drive home in it even more enjoyable. So yeah.
I thought you were going to say, give me $5,000 off.
I did. I was trying all that shit. Trust me. I've still got. Yeah, I'm waiting for. He calls you after a week for like a follow-up call. Oh, I'm just waiting. I'm just storing it up. Storing up the discounts already. A
bit of breaking news: Leeds are going to go in with another bid for Weston McKennie. So there you go. Shocking. They're going to increase the amount of add-ons. If
is it what we need? Is it really what we need?
If we qualify for the Champions League, we'll give him an extra 5 mil or something like that. Right then, so that's pretty much your lot. My thing was nothing really. I went on the radio on Monday. That was a really enjoyable experience.
It's really good, actually. You were very articulate and you came across really well, mate. You were getting too professional, though. That's worrying me.
Yeah,
because he's gonna have that conversation with us eventually, Barney. Where it's like, look, Radio Leeds are courting me. We need to drop all the swearing and talk about arseholes and green shits and stuff like that and dog shit and whatever. We need to stop it because I'm a pro.
Marsh in tattoos.
Yeah, Marsh in tattoos. Yeah.
So that was great for me. I watched Tulsa King and we watched Killer Sally. That was your recommendations from last week. Yeah. So yeah, very, very good. And check out The Last of Us because it was wow.
Tried, can't do it.
It's right up there. It's right up there.
I watched 3 and I can't do it anymore. It's just like every zombie stroke. It's
3?
Probably to you.
3?
I watched 3 episodes.
There's only 2 out.
No, there is.
Yeah.
What, the old one? The original one? The first one? No, I definitely watched 3 or 2 or 3. Anyway,
only 2.
Whatever.
Only 2.
I watched a couple and it was shit and I can't bear it. And that little girl annoys me.
Who?
The girl in it annoys me.
Bella Ramsey. Watch Happy Valley.
About the same thing.
No,
I think people turn it into plants. A modern day Dave the Triffids. Is that what we're on about? That one?
No.
That's Little Shop of Horrors, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fungus, not plants. Anyway, watch Happy Valley. Says Right Badger. Good telly. There you go.
No, I refuse. If I haven't started watching something when everyone else has started watching it, I don't watch it.
If it's not your idea.
I just watch things on ITV4 now. I've just rewatched Another Minder today in the Sweeney.
Oh dear.
And Magnum PI before as well.
You're never going to watch Band of Brothers, are you? 100% we need. 100% we need Weston McKennie, says Dylan, and that's got to be your final thoughts.
Buy a left back. Buy a 10.
Come on, Leeds.
We're gonna win the cup. We're gonna win the cup.
And now you're gonna believe us.